here to you, the first Sports Shorts Daily edition of 2022. Since I was under the weather for New Year's Eve and didn't get a chance to wear these, TK, so this is it. I'm going to put it on for just a little bit, my 2022 glasses. Bad thing about buying these, Tommy, you can't use them next year, so you got to get it in.
Hey, you got a lot of compliments and stirred up a lot of stuff with that the other day. And in fact, a couple of people I saw later in the day said, "Where'd Rats get them glasses?" I said, "I don't know. He got them in New York, I think."
That's right, Times Square, baby, Times Square. All right. So anyway, Happy New Year to everybody out there watching, and hope you had a great New Year's and New Year's Eve. There you go. They're retired. They officially got worn. Maybe we'll put those with the TK ball for our next auction. All right, Tommy, so much to get into for Sports Shorts Daily today. I mean, lots of great topics. One, Saints look disgusting. They look terrible, but somehow they win. And not only do they win, they cover, which is incredible. They cover the 7.5-point spread. They beat the Panthers that are just a dumpster fire. And now they advance to Atlanta next week, where they take on the Falcons with everything in front of them. They're about a 4.5, 5-point favorite against the Falcons. The Rams have to beat the 49ers. If the Saints win, Rams are about a 5-point favorite against the 49ers with a lot to play for. So Saints are in a good position if they take care of business at 3:20 next Sunday in Atlanta. Also, LSU is going to play tomorrow. Don't know how, don't know why. Only 40 scholarship players, only 3 cornerbacks that none of them were guys, that were supposed to be playing. Will Garrett Nussmeier take the snaps at quarterback? A ruling is in from the NCAA. Brad Davis is being quiet, said it's Nussmeier's thing to say. My guess is he's going to pull a Willis Reed and come running out of the tunnel and play quarterback. I've got some thoughts on why. By the way, the depth chart was released, and he is number 1 on that depth chart. LSU women's basketball continues to roll. Kim Mulkey 2-0. They beat 2 ranked teams to start play. They had over 7,000 at the PMAC paid yesterday in attendance, which is unbelievable for women's basketball. So that investment is working out in a big way for Scott Woodward and LSU. Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase set records. They win the AFC North, an unbelievable performance, knocking off the Chiefs. We'll get into that. What else, Tommy? I know Antonio Brown. He loses his mind. Will he ever play again in the NFL? That's a brief discussion we'll have. As my God, that was glorious to watch him just lose his mind like that. He was terrible, but it was also fun to watch. We'll start wherever you want, Tommy. Where do you want to lead us? Where do you want to go off first?
Well, we'll talk about it more later in the week, but Alabama, Georgia will meet 1 week from tonight for the national championship. Michigan and Cincinnati are good football teams with good coaches and good players, but they're just not SEC caliber. If each of them games were played 10 times, Alabama and Georgia would win all 10. There's no doubt about that. So with all that being said, I guess you go to the Texas Bowl tomorrow night. The LSU team, Brad Davis, the interim coach, said the practices have been good and it's been beneficial. I think he called it a gold mine. They had this opportunity. They're going to get out there and play, and they're going to just go have some fun and try to beat a Kansas State team that is now a 4.5-point favorite. Line opened up LSU minus 2.5. That's a 7-point swing, which is odd, but we know the reason for that. So I think Tiger fans are curious, and they want to see what happens. It's the only bowl game left other than the national championship next Monday. So there's probably going to be some attention paid to it. And it's a late kick, 8:15, and we'll see what happens with it. You better get a roster or go to the LSU website and print the roster. So when you're watching the game or pull it up on the phone, you'll know who the heck's out there for the Tigers. But, they're going to show up and give it their best, and we'll see what happens.
Which would you, if you had a free ticket or it didn't matter, which would you rather attend? LSU, Kansas State with a bunch of dudes where you need a roster, don't know who's going to play quarterback. They're almost a 5-point underdog. Or would you rather be at the PMAC with Dale Brown, Kentucky, naming the court after him? Which one would you rather? Which place would you rather be?
I'd rather be at the basketball arena to watch LSU play Kentucky, Will Wade's team, in spite of losing that tough one at Auburn. They fell down 18-1 against Auburn, and then, they came rolling back, and they cut it to 6 at one point, but they just couldn't get it done. But they're still playing defense. They just didn't shoot the basketball at all. I mean, I thought they had to have shooting tryouts back at the PMAC when they got back to town. But I definitely want to answer your question, I'd rather go watch Will Wade's team play Kentucky.
As much as I agree with you to a certain extent I love the storyline of Dale Brown with the basketball court being named after him. I know it was very controversial. I know that there was a big group against Dale Brown having the court named after him. And some of that reason, Tommy, is very hypocritical, because if you're enjoying Will Wade's success, then how are you going to be hypocritical of Dale Brown, who did so much for LSU basketball outside of outside of Pete Maravich just kind of landing at LSU, thanks to God, it worked out perfectly. You hire his dad, you get the son, and they had a little lightning in the bottle for 3-4 years, and then boom, it went away, and LSU basketball was irrelevant again. Heck, they hardly won when they had him. So Dale Brown is responsible for LSU basketball being anything in the modern era. And I think he's deserving of the court. 2 Final Fours, a lot of great wins, just the enthusiasm for that building, for that team. The fact that anybody now thinks of LSU in high regard in the SEC is because of Dale Brown. Yeah, did he do some things off the court? Yeah, do we know how things ended at the end with the probation and all that? Look, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. And everybody's doing it. It's all a matter of we all speed. It's just whether you get caught. And so I think it's well-deserved for Dale Brown, a Louisiana Sports Hall of Famer, to have the court named after him. I know there's no big love lost between he and Will Wade, so that'll be interesting. It might be a little icy in the room, but well-deserved for Dale Brown. But I'm going to take a football game over any other sport any day of the week. You only get so many of them, and there's so many storylines to this football game. So for me, I would rather be at the Tax Slayer Bowl with an undisclosed QB than at a regular season college basketball game. But the great thing is LSU fans can do both. Basketball's at 6 and football's at 8. You can watch them both.
Well, I'm in the group that was kind of a little taken back by naming the court after Dale Brown for a lot of reasons. That you got women's basketball in there, gymnastics in there. I remember reading that, somebody suggested there'd be like a ring of honor or a wall of fame, and then he would clearly be on that, but it's just, I don't know. The board, it was voted on, and that's what it's going to be. And certainly his accomplishments and what he did for basketball, not just at LSU, but in the state of Louisiana, kind of like Skip Burtman made the other schools kick it up a notch, where he made the other schools kick it up a notch in basketball, and
absolutely,
and created an interest that, was not there prior. It was just nothing but football, in the 60s and into the 70s, other than the Pete Maravich story, which is great. His record will never be broke for total points in a career or average in a game at the NCAA level. So, but, he accomplished a lot of good things. I've had a lot of opportunities after he was a coach to visit with him. And I know when Jordy Hultberg and I used to do Tigers Roar, he would text a lot to me and Jordy, like, hey, enjoyed the show, whatnot. Thought Jordy and I went well together on TV and all that stuff. But, hey, it's Dale Brown Court. That's what it's going to be.
I don't know about normal, Craig, but definitely sounding a lot better than I did our last
year.
Yeah,
that's for sure. He's you're a lot. I was worried about you. In fact, I got a couple of texts. Is Ronnie going to be okay?
Yeah.
So. He's a good guy. He'll be all right.
Stephen asking, any legitimate talks about building a new arena or reconstructing the PMAC?
Well, they remodeled the heck out of the PMAC many years ago. And, I hear there's going to be some more remodeling to it. I mean, LSU's landlocked. I mean, there's really no place to build a new arena unless you go maybe south of the tennis facility or down on them rec fields near the river. But then you get to where people park. So it's kind of going to have to upgrade the building as it is right now, in my opinion.
All right, so we're all going to be watching. Set the DVRs tomorrow night, 6:00, LSU Kentucky, as they name the court after Dale Brown. That'll be a big deal. And of course, anytime LSU plays Kentucky and especially if you have a chance to win like LSU does, that's going to be a big and fun environment. Getting back to LSU football for a minute, we saw the depth charts come out. Only 40 scholarship players, which is about, quite honestly, Tommy, maybe even a little worse than I thought. But I thought maybe 43, but it said 40 scholarship players that were scholarship players when the season began. That's the key to that, because LSU will tell you they got 60, but the reality is these are 40 that were there at the beginning of the season. Who's going to play quarterback is the question. On the depth chart, they still have Nussmeier number one. And Brad Davis won't answer the question. He said, ask Garrett if he's going to be able to play. They got the ruling from the NCAA. I think he is going to play, and the reason is partly two things. One, just how they've handled it. Why is he on the depth chart if he wasn't going to play? Why are they being so, I'm not going to tell you, ask Nussmeier. So they're not saying they're not going to say. They're just saying ask him. So, if they weren't going to say because it was a Kansas State thing, they just wouldn't say and let Kansas State have to wonder. They're saying, hey, if you want to know, ask him. The other thing is, we've learned that Scott Woodward has just absolute man crush on Garrett's dad, Nussmeier's dad, because from their days at Washington and him hiring him in the past and stuff. And there was a desire for, Scott Woodward for Nussmeier to be the quarterback and push to get him that opportunity, at least play a game earlier this year and get in there against Arkansas. He pushed for that. And so I think this is a big step, towards Nussmeier potentially being the next starting quarterback at LSU. I think when you've got the AD who's telling the new coach, hey, I want you to give this guy every opportunity before you move on to the next guy, make sure this guy can't do it, because I want him to have that shot. That's your boss saying, yeah, okay, coach, we're going to give him the chance. And if Nussmeier wants to be the dude and beat out Miles Brennan and beat out Walker Howard in 2022, this would go a long way. If you go in this game, you play kind of regardless of the outcome, just show in practice, show that leadership, show that, hey, this means a lot to you. No coach is going to forget that you laid it on the line and gave up a year of eligibility for your team to play in a bowl game. And so for those reasons, I'm starting to believe now that Nussmeier is actually going to play, which makes my investment a little nervous, Tommy, because I took Kansas State with a pick 'em.
Yeah, well, and it would go a long way with his teammates as well, and his future teammates, because it means something to guys when you look in the locker room. A guy made a decision like that if that's what he does. So yeah, I was in that group last week that didn't think they'd play this game for whatever the reason, but obviously they're going to play. They got to Houston yesterday. They're practicing there today. Game tomorrow night, and Tiger fans just going to have to flip the TV on and see what's up.
Yeah. So Craig asking the question: Are they saying ask him because the NCAA said no to the waiver, and it's up to him to decide if he wants to burn the red shirt?
That would make sense.
At this point, we're speculating as to why they're saying ask him. If I read the verbiage correctly, Tommy, I think he said, "Well, I'm gonna let Garrett tell you." He didn't say what the ruling was. He said, "I'm gonna let Garrett tell you." He didn't say. Coach Davis didn't say the NCAA turned down the waiver.
But like what Craig just said, you could read between the lines that they were told no, and now it's up to him to burn the red shirt or not.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the fact that
again, I want to repeat what you just said. We're speculating. We don't know.
Yeah, I'm just speculating with everything that we know. The fact that he's there, he's at the bowl game, he's with the team, he's practicing. Hey, dude, if you're going to opt out, then opt out. Or don't go. Like I think that would be unbelievable if he. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, we'll know the answer tomorrow night about 8:15.
My thought on it is that he's going to play for the reasons that I pointed out. That he's Woodward's guy. He wants to be the guy. This would go a long way to being that guy. And I think he wants to be the Willis Reed coming and running out of tunnel. Although I don't know if it's going to make a difference, Tommy, because because here's who's going to play quarterback, and here's the question, guys. Any insight on why Flott and Dwight are not on the depth chart? And I don't have any particular reason other than probably grades.
We've been told there was some academic issues. I don't know if that applies to Dwight and Flott, but it could. And that would maybe be why they're not on the depth chart, because they're academically ineligible. I was told up to 15 guys had academic problems, when the grades were posted after the fall semester. So I'm not again, speculation by you, Bengal. It's a very good and fair question, but we can only speculate with an answer. And the fact that we've both been doing this for a long time can kind of figure it out sometime.
I would say this. I was told by a player on the team that when they had their grades, when they had their grades at the end of the semester and they had one of their bowl meetings or whatever, they started to come back. When they walked in to their first meeting, there were a bunch of names on the board, and those were players that were, academically ineligible for the bowl game, and they were double digit as far as names go. So we're just speculating. They're not going to tell you, but my guess is Flott and Dwight are out because part of those academic reasons. So it's going to be quite interesting for LSU football. All right. So that said, Tommy, do you have a pick for the bettors out there right now? LSU a 4.5-point dog. Where are you leaning?
I'm going to take LSU in the 4.5. I'm going to think they're going to play one for the purple and gold, play for the helmet. They have some guys out there that are going to want to impress a new coaching staff. And obviously you got Den Brock as the OC now, Ives as the DC, and some other guys have been put on the staff. So I think, everybody's expecting, in the way the line moved, a lot of money went on, Kansas State. So, I think everybody's expecting that. So I'm going to go against the grain, against the consensus, and say take LSU in 4.5.
All right. Obviously, I already put my money on Kansas State at a pick'em situation, and I think with only 40 scholarship players, all the changeover at the coaching staff.
So if you could pull your bet off the board, would you?
I would, if I knew
reduce it.
If I knew for sure, like for example, during warm-ups tomorrow, if it's a half hour before game time, and that Nussmeier. I want to see exactly who's out there. This is one of those situations where not even the depth chart. I want to see who's warming up. I want to see who's running with the ones. And, all right, I'd like to see who's out there before I really make my decision. But for me, I like the value. I got it at a pick'em. I took Kansas State at a pick'em. Now the line's up to 4.5, so I feel like I got some value there. I'm going to stick with it. Yeah. Okay. All right, let's talk about Antonio Brown. I've seen some crazy things. We've all seen some crazy things in sports. I had a friend of mine once, Tony Robichaux, is going into Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. In his first year as baseball coach at UL Lafayette back in the mid-'90s, he had a player hit a home run and took off his jersey and quit in the middle of the game. It was a guy I knew. And so, there's been some crazy things happen. We've all seen some crazy things in sports. This one takes the cake because there's no obvious reason why. And we'll find out eventually. And it may not make sense. When we find out eventually what triggered Antonio Brown to feel like this is the decision he needed to make, it's not going to make any sense because nothing he does makes any sense. There's clearly nothing that happened on the sidelines. No one disrespected him. We got reports that the head coach asked him to go in the game. He refused a couple of times. It looked like maybe Brady said something to him when he was on the bench because it was moments after that comment where Brown kind of just nodded and then he pretty much got up and quit. Not sure. Maybe Brady reiterated what the coach said. I don't know. But this was the weirdest thing ever. And I guess with his antics and him losing his mind and quitting and throwing his stuff leaving the middle of the game, throwing his stuff in the stands, is this really it for Antonio Brown in your opinion?
It's got to be, especially with his history. Charged with sexual battery, the fake vaccine card. The guy he doesn't want to be a football player. And according to Tom Brady, he needs some serious mental help. Brady kind of defended him late last night, and so he needs to go get help. But he's not interested in being a football player. He's not interested in money. So I in a way I didn't want to talk about it today because I didn't feel like giving him any publicity. But you just can't do that. I mean, and Michael Evans, a wide receiver, was trying to talk to him as he was taking the pads off, and don't know what was said, but probably saying, "Hey, dude, you better think about this," or "Dude, you don't need to do this," or whatever. But no, I think he's totally done in the NFL. Especially because of everything that's happened up to this point. If this is just an isolated incident, no, he's certainly not done. But I don't know. It was bizarre, and it was the ultimate awful example to young kids.
It's if it wasn't for Tom Brady, I don't think we would have seen Antonio Brown back in the league already. I think it took Tom Brady vouching, for him and saying, "Hey, look, I'll take care of him. I'll keep him under our wing. I'll keep him steady." And he tried. And look, the guy can still play. That's the worst part about it is that he's going to look back at some point later on in life when hopefully he gets the mental health that he needs. But I think he clearly has something wrong. And if you watched any of the documentary stuff or any of his own video stuff or anything he's posted in the last 5 years, he's going to be a guy when he dies and they cut open his brain. They're going to say, "Oh, look at all the issues he's got from, head trauma." No question about it. Is it fixable while you're alive? That's the only thing that we wonder. But this guy is going to look back on all the wasted money when he pisses it away and he doesn't have any more, or his kids don't have any. It's going to be a shame.
Yeah, it's a very sad story, but you know what? The NFL is going to move on. They were there before him. They'll be there after him. And hopefully he clearly needs help, so hopefully he can figure out a way to get that help.
By the way, it worked out for the Tampa Bay Bucks. Incredible. I mean, Tom Terrific did what he did. It was interesting at the end of the Jets game. The Jets had, what was it, Tommy? A 3-point lead, if I remember correctly. And they decided they decided to go for it on fourth down. And I'm sorry, they had a 4-point lead. And they decided to go for it instead of kicking the field goal to make it a touchdown game, right? Isn't that what happened? Are you not sure? I'm looking this up.
I'm not certain. I can't.
Yeah. So at the end of the game, they went for it on 4th and 2 with a quarterback sneak. Did the Jets that had the lead? They were on like the 10, 15-yard line. I mean, these are the kind of decisions that bad teams make. Yeah, they had a 3-point lead, is what it was. They were up 24-21. They had the ball with just a tick over 2 minutes. They decided to go for it on 4th and 2 instead of kicking them, which would have amounted to a chip shot field goal, to put them up 6, meaning Tampa would have had to have scored a touchdown to win the game. They had that little confidence, I guess, in their defense that they couldn't allow them to go, 75 yards with 2 minutes to score a touchdown, that they decided 4th and 2 was the play to go for it. They run a quarterback sneak, which the coach threw Zach Wilson under the bus. I don't know if they threw him under the bus. He explained what happened. He explained that Zach Wilson had a read at the line of scrimmage where he could have handed it off, or if he had a certain look, he could run a quarterback sneak. He ran the quarterback sneak. It didn't even gain a half an inch. And the Jets turned the ball over, and the rest is history. Tampa went right down the field, scored a touchdown, won the game. But just a bad decision that worked out for the Tampa Bay Bucks, and here they are. Tom Brady doing what Tom Brady did, threw the ball. I think he completed like 11 different receivers. I mean, it was just an unbelievable day after falling behind. But Antonio Brown, the biggest story ever, and maybe they'll bring out Geraldo Rivera, Tommy, to have the big interview, the reveal as what the hell happened.
Well, maybe we'll learn something about it going forward. But bizarre ending in Cincinnati as well. I couldn't believe they didn't kick a field goal. The respect for Pat Mahomes there was pretty significant. We probably have to get Mahomes on the radio this Saturday and get an explanation there. But, that was bizarre. And then Burrow gets nicked up a little bit on his knee, but he's fine, all that good stuff. But, man, that was a crazy ending with so much on the line, Even the announcers were saying, what are they doing? This is craziness. Now, it worked out. Bengals won the division. They're in the playoffs, all that good stuff. But, man, that was Zach Taylor, the coach. That was just really crazy that he didn't kick the field goal before he did.
There's nothing that Zach Taylor can say, the head coach for the Bengals, and any explanation he can give
no, they didn't want
that would
Mahomes
make
to
any
have the
sense
ball.
for not kicking the field goal.
Yeah, he didn't want Mahomes to have the ball. It has to be the only reason, which means, okay, you don't have any confidence in your defense.
Mahomes would have gotten the ball back with a tick under a minute left, no timeouts, and had to go 75 yards to score a touchdown. And instead, you risk turning the ball over to him having to go 99 yards with no timeouts in 1 minute in a tie ball game where he doesn't even have to go 99. Either way, he's got to go 75. He's got to go 75 to get a field goal. He's got to go 75 to win the game.
But put it this way, Zach Taylor better be glad it worked out. Because if it would not have worked out and they'd have lost that game, Burrow would have got significantly injured, or any player would have got significantly injured. It's not a good day for Zach Taylor today. But it made it. It worked out. So you got to go, woo, man, we dodged. We jumped the snake there, right?
Congratulations, Craig Schilling, a fantasy league championship. Played Joe Burrow at quarterback. That's a no-brainer. I don't know why you would ever not play him unless you maybe had Aaron Rodgers on your team. That'd be about the only decision you have to make. So Zach Taylor survives. It's a great story, though. The Bengals win the AFC North. I mean, that at one point that was the toughest division in football for a long time. When you had Pittsburgh and the Ravens in their heyday, and then you had, depending on the year, Cincinnati was always like the third best, and then Cleveland the fourth best. Still there's a lot of demons there for the Bengals to overcome, and they dominated that division.
I'm thinking the torch got passed from the Steelers and Ravens to the Bengals because, as they put on the broadcast yesterday, Burrow, Chase, and Mixon are all under 25 years old. So you got to believe they got 6, 7, 8 great years left. And, Huggins, they got some other guys that can play. And the fact that Joe Burrow's age, just cocky enough, he's made everybody believe, and everybody else has elevated their game, which is what superstars do. And I think Joe Burrow's very close to being labeled a superstar because of what he's done for that franchise, and then, the rest of the decisions and the young players that they have on both sides of the ball. The Steelers, Roethlisberger is going to be done last home game tonight. The Ravens, a lot of issues there. It may now be the Bengals' time to make a little run, especially with so much talent, so much young talent that they have.
Jamar Chase, I hope Jamar Chase enjoys the success he's having right now, because he is going to be a marked man the rest of his career. After the game, when you heard some of the analysts and stuff talking on ESPN and whatnot, Hasselbeck was big about it. How this guy isn't double teamed every single time is beyond him. Now, granted, they've got some great weapons around him, and that helps. But at this point, Jamar Chase, of his 260 yards receiving or whatever that he had yesterday, so many of those were against good coverage. He just out-athleted and out-willed the defender. Some of the balls literally were, the defender had the hand in the face, or the hand on the ball, or tipped the ball. Jamar Chase just went up big and strong and took it away. You can't play that guy one-on-one on an island press man. You can't. You're going to get burned.
But here's
a double team and moving forward.
Here's what causes that, and here's why they may not double team him. Joe Burrow, like he did at LSU, is very good about spreading the ball around. A couple of weeks ago, he had 3 receivers that had over 100 yards, and Chase wasn't one of them. He had like 80 that day when he threw for the 525 or whatever. So, great quarterbacks spread that ball around, which makes all the receivers more effective, and their numbers go up. And Burrow has, we saw it at LSU, and now we're seeing it in Cincinnati. And, it's they might be all right for a pretty good while. They're going to be fun to watch. Of course, a lot of LSU fans. I was out somewhere Saturday night. A bunch of guys were saying, "Oh, we hope we get the Bengal game tomorrow," which the local affiliate had it. But I said, if you like the Bengals that much, I think you can get the NFL ticket now for like $10 because it's near the end of the year. So there's a lot of interest in the Cincinnati Bengals by with all the LSU fans who know all about Joe Burrow and Chase and all that good stuff.
I mean, he's got good. I mean, you talk about T. Higgins at 6'5" target and the alternate. So if you're worried about Chase, you got the Clemson product Higgins over there at 6'5", who's a hell of a player. Had almost 200 yards receiving last week. Had a quiet first half, big second half. I mean, and I love their tight end. So I mean, and the way Joe Burrow just spreads the ball, man, it's just He's like a bigger, stronger Drew Brees with his accuracy.
It wears the same number, ironically. But also, don't forget about Joe Mixon. I mean, here's a guy who can catch the ball out of the backfield. Several times I saw him pick up blitzes yesterday, which allowed Burrow that extra second or so to get rid of the ball. And he's a heck of a running back. So, that helps the whole passing game as well. So the Bengals they're trending in a pretty good spot right now.
All right, so do you believe enough in the Bengals this year to be relevant for a Super Bowl run, or you still think they're a year away?
Man, don't count Joe Burrow out, man. Don't count him out. He's cocky enough, and that spreads around to the rest of that locker room. And, anything can happen when you get to the NFL playoffs based on what we've seen this year. Yeah, the Packers appear to be a cut above, but in the AFC, nobody's a cut above. So, especially with the Chiefs losing after leading by, 28-14 against the Bengals yesterday. And, yeah, the game was in Cincinnati, but the Chiefs, showed their vulnerability there. So, I mean, like I said, anything he does shouldn't surprise you. Like I always say that about Kim Mulkey. Whatever she accomplishes at LSU, you should not be surprised. Well, same thing with Joe Burrow and this Bengal team. Now, they may lose their first playoff game, but then that'll, set the table for going forward in that division and, and sooner or later getting to and winning the Super Bowl.
We will talk to Patrick Mahomes on Sports Shorts Radio this Saturday from 10 to noon. We'll be at LeBear's Casino, and we will talk to excuse me. We will talk to Patrick Mahomes. He'll join us at the end of the first hour, and we'll kind of ask him what happened in that second half to the offense.
We got to get it straight from Patrick.
It was pretty incredible. All right, one last thing before we wrap up, and then we'll have a busy Wednesday show. LSU women's basketball, Tommy, 2-0. Kim Mulkey, over 7,000 paid. The beat just goes on. They were down 3 going into the fourth period yesterday against Texas A&M. This is the 6th year in a row Texas A&M's come in ranked and lost against LSU in the PMAC. 6 years in a row. So this has been the death trap for the Aggies. But, man, does she have it rolling. It's incredible.
Well, we had recently retired Fran Flory, the volleyball coach, was on Hold the Rope Radio with us last night on ESPN 104.5. And she was at the game, and she said, look, there's a feeling in that building. It wasn't quite 7,000 actual attendance, but right. She guessed about 4,500 to 5,000. And she's been in that building a million times. She's probably pretty accurate. But she said, man, there's just a feeling. There's a buzz. And she said the way those kids play, and when you watch Kim Mulkey, coach the game, and coaching the timeouts and all, she said it's something to see. She was very impressed, and Fran had tremendous success with the volleyball program at LSU. She knows what a real coach is, and she knows Kim Mulkey is one.
Fran, one of my all-time favorites. What did she say about the new volleyball coach? Because I know that's a friend of hers.
Well, they both played for it. There's a coach and an associate head coach, and the associate head coach came to the show with Fran last night. Met her, real nice, but she had come in and played, and the new head coach wasn't there. But she thinks it's great for her legacy that 2 of her former players are now going to take over the program, and she's going to let them be the coach, but she's willing to help in any way, shape, or form. And then, she's going to do a few things for the athletic department in the course of the next year. And Coach Bertman was very happy about that because he thinks the world of Fran Flory. I could tell when they were talking before radio last night. We all had dinner together, and then after, even during the show, that he thinks that Fran can really, really help the athletic department and speaking to other coaches, head coaches, assistant coaches. And, Fran, like you said, I mean, I've always been impressed with her. I hadn't been around her a lot until last night. We all had dinner and then did the radio show. So, it's, she's happy that two of her former players are going to take over the program.
Well, I bet she is. And look, that's she has done it the right way, been a class act. Unfortunately, LSU women's volleyball, hasn't had all the wins and stuff that you would hope for. But she's done it the right way, and I think that the timing is right for her to step down. And these new young coaches and her former players are very good. And look, the key is also recruiting. Louisiana is not a super hotbed for volleyball. You've got to go recruit nationally, and so it's a young person's game, and hopefully they'll be able to do that. All right, Tommy, we'll be back Wednesday morning, 9 a.m. for more Sports Shorts Daily presented by LaBerge Casino. Don't forget to join us every Saturday morning from 10 to noon on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. TK told you to go ahead and take LSU plus 4.5. For those that are going to be staying at home, tailgating, stop by Tremonti's, right?
Yeah, well, they had a couple of days they were closed down for some inventory and cleaning stuff during the holidays, but full speed today. Chicken fried steak for the lunch special today. Got the daily lunch pretzels. That's always posted on Instagram. All the meats, the wine, the liquor. Tremonti's meat and seafood back. Full speed operation. Crawfish coming soon. Not yet, but they'll be coming soon. And you need to check them out for lunch or get some food. Enjoy whatever you want to do here. They've restocked all the meat cases with the sausages and the dishes and all the side dishes. Tremonti's Meat and Seafood. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram. We'll be back here Friday. Wednesday, I'll be over in Port Allen at Court Street Cafe. Looking forward to that.
Picked up a prime rib for Christmas Eve, and they cooked it and had it ready for me, and it was fantastic. We really enjoyed it. Tremonti's Meat and Seafood in Baton Rouge. For Tommy Christ, I'm Ronnie Rance. Thanks for watching Sports Short Daily. Please like and share. That's